Creator, Mother, Father, God, Source, all the one, all that is. May the ancestors hear our prayers. Ancestors, 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 we call out to you during this final quarter of 2022 and ask you to guide us to our courage, confidence, and compassion. Enable us to stop being in resistance to this new age and new earth consciousness, and guide us gently and lovingly into our personal renaissance. As we dare to live our new narratives, enable us to remember that these are divinely scripted for ourselves and for our world. And most importantly, enable us to move forth from the dark ages of modernity by placing our heads below our hearts, valuing people over profit, and always choosing love over fear. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Amen. Ashe Aho Asa Shiga Bismillah, and so it is. Good evening and welcome to Wisdom Walk Talk here on Black Hole Radio and my YouTube channel, Wisdom Walk 2 Self-Mastery. I am your host and guide, Jojapa Maria and Saroma, the fiery essence that came out of the water to be a vessel for the divine. September is the second and final mineral month of this double fire year 2022. This month, I am creating a quarterly theme for my broadcast, podcasts, and accompanying videos. And this theme for the final quarter of this deeply transformational year is Living Your Renaissance. Over the next 4 months, I will encourage and guide you to merge with this powerful energy of the new age of Aquarius. And this month, I have been talking about remember what you are, and this is now going to be part 2. So, let me give you my overview for what I'm going to spiritually spill on for tonight in the second part of Remember What You Are. I am going to begin talking about why remembering what you are is essential, that it's more than the who we are, but the what we are is really essential. And then I am going to talk with you about how to connect consciously with what you are and transcend what you are not. And then I'm going to give you some suggestions for how you can grow your consciousness on a daily basis in regards to what you are. My quotes for tonight are the same as last week because they're just so delicious. And the first one is from the great Sara Saying, the pioneering astronomer, planetary scientist, cosmologist, astrophysicist, astrobiologist, and author. He also did the award-winning show called The Cosmos back in the 60s that Neil Tyson deGrasse repeated a couple of years ago. And Carl says, even through your hardest days, remember we are all made of stardust. And then the second quote is from an author, Steve Madison. He wrote a book, easy to find online and for Kindle very cheap, The Universe Has Your Back, Trust the Cosmos. And Steve said, science says we are made of stardust. What better link could there be between the universe and us? We are literally made of the cosmos. Why would we not expect the universe to affect us profoundly in all possible ways? Yes, 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 it's wonderful. So, as I talked about in the previous video, the what you are is more important and essential than the who you are, simply because we are here to grow, heal, and evolve. And so the who you are is going to change. And this is why a lot of people have a hard time with aging, because you can't be who you are at 30 than who you are at 65. You know, your body ain't gonna let you, for one thing, and I don't care how much plastic surgery you get or whatever in that, you know, we're going through a deterioration process. It's part of the life cycle, and it's a very sacred cycle. So to be in opposition to aging is like trying to tell your God that, you know, they made a mistake. That's dangerous. I wouldn't be playing with that. So that who you are is supposed to change, but it's the what you are that never changes. That's the constant that you can hold on to regardless of what condition, position that you are in life. Yeah. And so, you know, we live in a dark age of modernity where we've allowed automation and industrialization and more comforts showing up in life to begin to separate us from our true experience of what we are. And so I reminded you of that in 5 statements, which you can find in my book, Wisdom Walk to Self-Mastery, from chapter 8. And the 5 of them are that you are a manifestation of divine source. You were born full with gifts, talents, and genius. You are a divinely created being, meaning you are enough. Like Mr. Rogers said, people can love you exactly the way you are. 3, you are a soul with divine purpose. You're in possession of a sacred contract. Yes, you have purpose for being here. It does matter that you are alive. Number 4, you are a light for the world. Your soul can heal the world. Yes, what you do that is soulful, heartfelt, loving, it makes a big difference. And then 5, last but not least, you are an eternal being with no beginning and no end. You are not disposable. Yes. Now, to give you an understanding of what you are, because this is pretty lofty stuff. This isn't stuff that you're going to learn sitting up in school, in elementary school. You should be learning it, and hopefully that comes about sooner rather than later. But, you know, it might sound like, yeah, that's nice, Jojo Pop, but what you talking about? What you talking about? Well, here's what I'm talking about by telling you what you are not, okay? Number 1, you are not a sexual object. Even though Madison Avenue and other people that want you to buy things work overtime to get you to believe this. You know, women in advertising are always shown as sexual objects. Men are always shown as sexual objects. Yeah, think about it. And that's not what you are, you know. There's more to you than just your physical looks, your reproductive system, because again, all of those things are going to change. Yeah. So if you're attached to that belief that I'm a sexual object, you're not going to have happy endings in life, and life isn't going to be fulfilling because it's not the truth of who you are. No. Second, you are not a battery for the matrix in service to artificial intelligence. Yeah. You know, a lot of times I hear things where people are acting like the robotics and the artificial intelligence systems and processes that we've created, you know, are victimizing them. And the reality is, no, you're not in service to that stuff unless you want to be. You know, because in a minute, you know, an asteroid could come really close to the Earth's atmosphere, hit a couple of them satellites we got walking around there, and all that stuff will be gone. Yeah, there'll be no internet. So think about that. You know, you're not in service to something that is created by humans and, you know, providing human services. But it's easy to forget. It's easy to really fall into like Cypher in the Matrix, where you think that piece of meat is real when it's all made up. Yeah. But that's not what you are. No. So maybe an experience of who you are, but it's not what you are. Number 3, you are not a soulless vessel without a higher purpose. A good analogy for that is my protege, the wonderful, wonderful facilitator of the Wisdom Walk program, Mr. Floyd Roll, who had been incarcerated. I think at that time, when he first came to the organization, he probably had been in for about maybe 4 to 5 years. And in the prison, you were referred to by your number, not your name. So when he comes to the front desk to sign in for the program and the receptionist says to him, your name please, he gives his number. Yeah. He had gotten so disconnected from what he is that he had fallen into this belief that, I'm just this number. Yeah. So as humans, we can fall into that level of, being so separated out from the truth of what we are. Number 4, you are not here to remain stuck in suffering and struggling. Yeah. Now, there have been many generations before me, I'm a boomer, that really did believe that. And on some level, some of them took that on very consciously. I remember I was on a train traveling to a university out in Pennsylvania, and the woman I sat across from had come from there. She had family in Pennsylvania, and they had been miners. So the generation before her, she told me the story of how they chose their youngest brother to not go work in the mines because they wanted one of them to be able to live and have an education. That's pretty deep. That's huge. So that's somebody who's like, yes, I'm going to sacrifice my well-being so at least one person in the family can make it. And that was her father that didn't have to go work in the mines. And even in that act of sacrifice, what those other siblings were saying is, this isn't all of what we're here for, So somebody's got to get to the fruits of our labor. Somebody's got to get to those happy endings. We're not here to stay suffering and struggling. And if you are into that mindset, into that belief system, just know that you really can open up and choose to learn how to let that belief system go, because it really is just a belief system. It's nothing you have to stand, because again, back to what you are, this eternal divine being. So you got to think about, why am I choosing to suffer and struggle this time around? What is that about? And then 5, last but not least, you are not a finite being having limits or bounds to space and time to be disposed of. You are so much more than that. You are so much more. I mean, it's so much bigger than that. But we will treat ourselves like we're disposable. By what? By going along with somebody else's program, by thinking that, being in opposition to the truth is going to save us, I mean, there's so many ways in which we treat ourselves so much less than what we really are. So the question becomes, right? Okay, how do I treat myself like the truth of what I am? And let me tell you, because again, in the dark ages of modernity, we've been so disconnected from that. And also, as we're moving out of one human age into a new one, there are old things that really aren't working. I just read a report that was talking about that the number of people actually going to church or being involved in a Christian church, they focused on Christianity, has come down so much in these last several decades. And it really makes sense based on the fact that, people have evolved to where they're not really needing somebody else to tell them how to connect to their God or to their soul. And also, in reality, too, people involved in the church they're human beings, so they're going to make mistakes. They're going to be flawed. And so we're in a time now where it's like, why am I making that person responsible for my connection to my God? I need to learn how to do this, right? So yeah, there's a shift. There's a big, big shift going on. So we do need to know that we do have the ability to really connect with what we are. And I'm going to explain this to you in a way that I will give you more information next month, but I want to just introduce this to you so that you have an understanding. So one of the ways in which we can consciously connect to what we are and transcend what we are not is to know the reality of the lower versus the higher timeline. What do I mean by this? Okay, so all of us humans are given a timeline for how we will accomplish our earthly mission this time around. Yeah. So it does have a beginning and it does have an end. So that's what birth and death are about. Okay. But we have many lifetimes. We have many experiences of being in a particular form, right? And so at the time we're given this time that we're given, it's separated into two levels of how we can experience our life path. Because we are in a place where we need duality. We need to know the difference between light and dark. Like if you don't know what dark is, you can never know what light is. If you don't know what light is, you can never know what dark is. So we're in this duality, and it's a three-dimensional experience, even though we have access to higher dimensions. And we are here to grow and to evolve. So you can't experience one timeline without the other. So we need them both. We need a lower timeline and a higher timeline. Now, the lower timeline comes first because that's filled with our core wounds that give birth to our pain body. Yes, and everybody has this. Nobody gets out of this. So when your pain body is running your show, driving your bus, you are living your lower timeline. Yes. Now, once you decide to heal your core wound and you're able to say no to your pain body being in charge, that's when you reclaim your personal sovereignty. This is the ability to take full responsibility for all parts of yourself. And that includes your mind, your physical body, your subconscious, your soul, and your spirit. Meaning I'm no longer going to make somebody else, especially my mommy and my daddy, responsible for my joy, my happiness. That I have the ability to create all of that, to manifest all of that from the inside out. Yeah. So when you become personally sovereign, then you're able to live your higher timeline. Yeah. But again, we all start at that lower timeline. That's just the way it is. Just the way it is. So, like I said, I'll give you more information about that so that you really understand what I'm talking about with lower timeline and higher timeline. But just know that when I can distinguish between the two, that's when I am really able to connect into what I am. Yeah. So here is my personal contribution to collective healing for you, for growing your consciousness about what you are. When we aspire to be the best version of ourselves, we're truly going after living from what we are and truly experiencing the higher timeline. Okay, that's what this is about. So here's my suggestions to you for how you can do what I call spiritualizing your life. This is a conscious integration of what you are into your daily living. Yeah. So here we go. First suggestion: take time to get still and connect with your God daily, not just when you're in trouble. Next, create a sacred space in your home and your work environment that is designed to remind you of what you are. Like, get a picture of the divine being images, and put that on an altar. Next, set a time to hold those you love as sacred by texting loving memes or photos. For example, you can set the clock for a daily prayer time, or a good morning, or a good night, or any loving gesture. You know, putting children to bed every night and reading them a story, that is truly a sacred gesture. That is connecting yourself and them to that higher timeline. It's not something that you should think twice about. It's something you should do. My mother did that for us, and she was a single mom, and she worked hard all week long, you know, but she would find time to read us stories. Yeah, and it made such a difference for me and my brother and my sister. Yeah. Next, I suggest you establish your Sabbath. That is one day a week, or it could be one day a month, when you focus only on your God, not your cell phone, not your computer, not your streaming channel. You focus only on your God and being in service to the light. Yeah. Next suggestion. Honor your ancestors. I talk about that a lot by creating an ancestor plate before eating your meal and thanking them for their non-physical support. And a final suggestion, share a weekly meal with family, friends, or those you love. Thanks to Zoom, this can now be done with those at a distance. Yeah, because that process of breaking bread, you know, when you're eating, you're vulnerable. You're opening up your heart, really. You're opening up to receive something. And so when you consciously gather with other people to do that, it's very, very, very much about having reverence for life, having reverence for yourself, for others. It is a form of spiritualizing your life. Yeah. So I hope these suggestions are helpful to you, but I want to encourage you to come up with your own and demonstrate that reverence for yourself, your life, and others. You're going to be so amazed at how the blessings show up as a result of remembering what you are. Yes, 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 yes. My Sara saying for tonight, for this month, is to worry is to use your imagination to create what you do not want. Ashe, ashe. And thank you, Mama Sara, for that. Beautiful. Now, last but not least, I want to thank my God, my ancestors, my spirit guides, loving entities, everything that walks with me, keeps my head to the sky, my feet to the ground, and my heart open to do this important work with and for all of you. So please have a very healthy, safe, fire and mineral weeks, practicing forgiveness and remembering your higher purpose. Continue to wear your mask. COVID is not going away. Get your booster shot if you can. Strengthen your immune system. Very important to do. Practice safe relating. Wash those hands frequently. Avoid perceived safety and embrace science safety. And most importantly, please do remember the truth of what you are, because you are not disposable. The truth is, you are divine. Good night now.